good afternoon. Thanks for joining us here on Inspire India on Mirror Now. I am Afrida Rahman Ali. Let's in fact begin by telling our viewers here that this is a program where we feature the stories of human endeavor that is going towards helping those in need. Yes, on a daily basis, we bring you stories of doom and gloom, of how people are suffering, but this is different. Here we are talking about reposing our faith in the indomitable spirit of mankind to survive, beating all odds. Yes, most of us are trying to stay afloat, trying to swim over the turbulence, but then there are those who are offering their backs to others so that they may also tide over this crisis. So we are featuring two such stories of human initiatives today. Those who have decided to step up with help and support, capitalizing on whatever resources that they have access to. Sometimes it can just be a social media account that has worked wonders. And those are the stories that we bring you. Two such stories today. One from Bangalore of Mr. Swadeep Pilarisetti, who is the co-founder of COVID India campaign, joining us today on Inspire India. Thanks for joining us, Swadeep. And Riya Gupta, who's actually a medical student. She has started an online initiative to pool in resources and to connect those who need help with those who are offering it. Thank you so much, Riya Gupta and Swadeep Pilarisetti, for joining us, and welcome to Inspire India. I am so grateful that you have allowed us to feature your stories so that others can also get inspired. Let's begin with the lady, Chennai-based Riya Gupta, a third-year medical student of Chettinad University, who's also a micro-influencer on Instagram, started something called the Blood Donor Connect, which is an easier way to connect donors with patients. Well, when she noticed that there was an increase in requests for blood and beds on her Instagram account, she decided to string along 15 of her friends and then create a corpus of donors, connecting them to the patients who are in dire need. It might all sound very simple, but I'm sure it has taken quite a bit of interest and involvement on a daily basis to connect, to create this network and to set up a system where people will be able to exchange information and use information to their advantage. Often such a small step goes a long way, even to the extent of saving lives. The team began connecting with donors on Twitter and Instagram, and within a span of few weeks, the volunteers have helped 100+ patients to get their SOS needs met with. So Riya Gupta, thank you so much for joining us. Let me begin by asking you, you are a medical student, you're a social influencer. I'm sure you're also able to use a bit of your medical experience and knowledge to help people. Tell us how you started this journey and how is it going so far?
So ever since the pandemic, the second wave hit, it's been really hard on each and every one of us. I started getting numerous requests non-stop of people, asking me for blood, beds, oxygen. And I realized that I wasn't able to help all of them. So I was able to forward bed requests to NGOs, but I realized there was no one that was doing anything about blood. The blood banks were drying up. So I started connecting them to my friends, to my family, to people working in my house, to the office people. And after that, I realized that I'm running out of donors. I started calling up all of these websites and trying to verify donors. My friends saw how burdened I was with it. And that's why all of us had started Blood Donor Connect. We have basically gotten around 400 donors at this point, and we tried to allocate them area-wise so that they can reach their patients faster, and the patients get their blood almost immediately on the same day, and the surgery goes smoothly.
Right. So in all of this, I'm sure you devoted a lot of time. You devoted your energy, your interest in making it happen. A lot of us have these good intentions, but it really takes some amount of confidence, courage to get down to it, which you have done, Riya. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm coming back to you, but let me now introduce also Swadeep Pilarisetti, co-founder of COVID India campaign. Bangalore-based Swadeep has been involved in this campaign for over a year now. It's a pan-India disaster support task force comprising of leading critical care specialists, frontline doctors, NGOs, entrepreneurs, and social workers. So it's a big pool of resources. CIC has the distinction of setting up 30-bedded community oxygen centers in a record time of 7 days. We will have Swadeep tell us what these CICs are all about. So this is a campaign that has made a huge impact in the area of providing backup support to the hospitals, a very critical area since the medical infrastructure is overburdened. Some individuals like Swadeep is helping close the gap between those who urgently require a bed and when the hospitals are not immediately able to provide it. Some amount of help is coming through these centers where beds are available, and they are also oxygenated beds, fully equipped. Like I said, this is a big pool of resources that Mr. Pilarisetti has been able to organize. These centers have been instrumental in closing the gap, like I said, between the allotment of beds and the immediate requirement, consequently also saving precious lives. So Swadeep Pilarisetti, I want to begin again by asking you that your story is truly inspiring. How did you conceptualize this? Now this is like putting the money where the mouth is. You perhaps figured out that this is where the country most needs help. But setting up a center of this nature, actually able to take in patients, how are you managing this?
Well, thank you, Afrida, for giving me the time. Really appreciate this. And I think this second wave has caught all of us unawares, right? I mean, we can see that people are struggling for oxygen, for beds, for plasma, for drugs. We realize there's a huge need on the market. People in ambulances are being turned away. Karnataka right now is top 3, in fact, 50,000, 60,000 cases on a daily basis. And we realized that we need to put a crack team together. So we got multiple NGOs together, Avirata Bharata on the ground, Harsha Krishna, we got Siuk CEO, he left everything and came to us. He's handling all the logistics and support. We have Captain Badrish and of course my co-founder, Dr. Shalini Nalwad, all frontline doctors, Dr. Naganishchal. We got the medical expertise from there, and we put this team together where we said, let's brainstorm and figure out how can we deliver oxygen to the patients in 7 days, right? So we're scrounging the whole city and the whole country for oxygen concentrators because they are portable. We can bring them. We're looking at existing infrastructure. We can quickly ramp up, and we have the local M&A support as well, the government support for certifications. There are already existing hospitals or hostels or a hotel which we can very quickly within 48 hours, we can turn around and make a community oxygen center. We've done it in 7 days. We raised money as well, more than 1 crore, though we need more support.
48 hours. Are you telling us within 48 hours you are able to set up a 30-bedded center? That's huge because, at a time like this, the urgency is so intense. So the time limit that you're talking about is something very interesting. Have you done such centers in that kind of time?
So we have already done one on Saturday. We've done one on Wednesday yesterday, and we're doing one tomorrow in 2 days from now on Saturday. Our goal is actually to go to a hospital a day.
So you have defied, the people say that you can't get things done overnight. I think you've defied that, by actually setting up a center literally overnight. I mean, 48 hours is what it has taken you, and you've already set up such centers. It's there for everyone to see. A campaign of this nature which you have put together, how many people are you currently catering to? If you can give us an example to understand, in a city like Bengaluru, in Karnataka again, very badly impacted by the infection, how is it helping to close the gap in terms of what the government is able to provide and what the demand really is among people?
So, Afrida, is a good question. Right now, the demand is for thousands of beds, and 10,000 beds at a time in Karnataka itself, right in Bangalore. So our goal is to hit 1,000 by the end of the month. We just started with 30 beds. We're going to finish 100 beds by next week, and we're on track to do 1,000 extra beds with oxygen, which is the key because that's what is missing in today's day and age.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So, Riya Gupta, again, coming back to you, I want to ask you that, how do you identify people? Because we ask this question all the time when you're dealing with a country like ours. The numbers are huge. So, do you have a process of prioritizing who needs it more?
So we do it based on when the surgery is or when they require the blood. If they require it today, that becomes an urgent request. And if somebody does require it 3 days from now, we do arrange donors for them, but we just make sure that it's done maybe a day before the surgery because there are so many patients that that'll have urgent requirements on that day. And we also get these requests via our patient forms. All of our Instagrams are flooded, Twitters, like we get a lot of requests via NGOs. There are families in government hospitals that don't have access to mobile phones, so it makes it really hard for them to post these requests. So a lot of NGOs direct them back to us via WhatsApp groups or Slack groups, and that's how we go ahead and try to find them donors.
Yes, I was watching the footage and you had these tables and you had these columns and you were sort of trying to perhaps, put things together, information together in a rather systematic way. How tedious a job it is. How many hours a day do you have to devote in this? Because I imagine a lot of information is you have to collate it. How do you do that? If you can give us an example of how you work out this process, your style of operating.
It's almost a full-time job. All of us are working around the clock. Sometimes requests come in at 2 a.m. and obviously at that point we can't call up the donors, so we have to drop in messages, we drop in mails. We just try to get them blood as soon as possible. We all work in rotation because most of us are medical students and all of us go to college. We have our college work from 8 in the morning to probably 4 in the evening, and we also try to do this. So we all work in rotation. We try to make it as systematic as possible. Every blood group has their own moderator. The moderator takes care of everyone under and takes care of those particular requests. We also follow up with the patients and the donors until their surgery is completed. Yeah.
That's interesting. I'm going to pick on that, what you said. Every blood group has a moderator. So this is what I was asking you when I was, trying to understand how you function. Because being able to organize this kind of skill is not, everybody's business. You're a medical student. You also have your other work to do. But the fact that you're able to put together a team and then do this in an organized manner, that is highly commendable. Swadeep, anything you would like to share with us from your experience of how it's going so far? What are the crisis areas right now in Bangalore? Where are the urgent needs for people?
So I think the need for oxygen is so strong that even if you put in 1,000 beds, it'll be taken up within a few days, right? And that's what's happening right now. We have still not peaked. That's the worst part, right? People are saying we're going to peak in a week or a couple of weeks from now. If it's beyond that, then it's going to be out of hand. So we hope that we are able to mitigate this risk by adding more and more oxygen centers. We give oxygen early on, so we prevent them from becoming severe and going into the ICU, right? The ICU system gets choked, and the ICU nurses and doctors are very scarce to find and very hard to set up. So we rather do these oxygen centers. Instead of one ICU bed, I can set up 20 of these beds, and then we can very quickly give them oxygen early on to prevent them from choking the system towards the end.
Right. And you were saying that you've set up one only yesterday. You are planning to set up another tomorrow. What goes into it? How do you get started and how do you get it set up so quickly?
See, there are 4 pillars, Afrida, right? There are 4 pillars that you need to have the checks, the boxes to be. We need to have, first of all, the funding in place. You have cash on hand. Number 2, you need to have your medical expertise in hand. You need to have intensive care specialists who can help you and guide you in the right direction. Number 3, you need local support on the ground. You need either governmental support or infrastructure, already existing, supply. And then the fourth most important thing is the supply chain, which is the oxygen concentrators, which are coming in from China, from Israel, from US.
Yes.
It's the logistics nightmare. I just found 20 of them in Surat. We asked AirAsia. AirAsia has been kind enough. They're actually helping ship free of cost. Captain Badrish is helping us, ex-Indian Air Force. So logistics is taken care of by them and Siuk. So they're shipping it overnight. We have people on the ground, Avirata Bharata and Harsha. They're literally working day around the clock till 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, taking those oxygen concentrators, setting it up in the hospitals and making sure that all the doctors are trained by Dr. Nagnish early in the morning, and then they open it up in 48 hours. That's how we're doing it. And I know it's not easy, but if anybody wants to help us, either donate or help work out, please go to covidindiacampaign.org. And you can contribute in terms of 25 lakhs, we can set up one center in 48 hours.
Yes, let me underline that. 25 lakhs you need to set up one community oxygen center, according to Swadeep Pillari Sethi, in 48 hours. So that's the big takeaway from your story. Indeed, again, highly commendable the fact that you're able to pool in this kind of resources in record time. And I keep saying this, that this kind of community partnerships is what is going a long way in helping this country at a time like this. Yes, we are very hard pressed when it comes to medical resources, but people are stepping in. Riya Gupta, do you at any point of time feel that you need some help from the local authorities or district administration? Does it come your way, or you are able to do this completely independently with your group of friends?
So sometimes it is really hard because a lot of people, because of COVID and the fear of getting it at a hospital, refuse to leave the house to donate. And a lot of them want home collections, but we do not have the resources to provide them. So that is a huge issue that all of us are facing. With home collections, we'd be able to get so many more donors, and we'd be able to provide more blood to the patients and much faster. The other issue that we're all facing is, due to the lockdown, a lot of donors are scared to step out because they require travel passes to leave. And organizing that along with everything else that we have is another huge headache that our team is facing. And it's really, really hard to organize that on top of everything else that's going on.
Yes, but what is the crisis like in Chennai, Riya? I mean, as an observer, do you think the authorities are doing enough? Where exactly are resources lacking? And are the infrastructure, the existing infrastructure in Chennai, is it able to cope at the moment with the cases rising in Tamil Nadu?
I do not think that our infrastructure is able to handle the number of cases that are coming in. There are a lot of patients that are passing away due to lack of blood. We've dealt with so many patients where we'll be talking to them, we'll be trying to organize a donor, and within the next 20 minutes, they're like, there's no use, the patient has passed away, which is so heartbreaking. If the request had come to us sooner, we would be able to help. But again, why is it reached that sort of situation?
Yes, absolutely. But then the important thing here is that, a simple step. I mean, this is just about you using your social media influence and, of course, your medical expertise, I imagine, to a certain extent, to help people. So, whatever little way we can with our limited resources, things do become possible. And like you said, that you've helped so many people so far, I am sure it has gone a long way. I mean, so many families, it's not about one person. Every person comes from one family. So that many families would be grateful when things work out for them. Swadeep, any special experience you want to share with us? You've dealt with so many cases, and since you are dealing with so many centers, the numbers that you are dealing with also would be very large.
Absolutely. I think it's just mind-boggling the kind of numbers that are there out there in terms of people looking for oxygen. It's in the thousands. It's not even in the hundreds anymore. And we already set up one in Basveshwar Nagar. We are setting up Puthundukudi yesterday. So we are doing it all across Bangalore. In fact, I got people from Chennai, from Mysore, from Mandya, from all over the country trying to ask me, how have we set it up in 7 days? And we are opening up the blueprint. Whoever wants to work with us, we're happy to help you with the expertise to set it up in any part of the country. We can do this in 48 hours if you really get the blueprint right.
But Swadeep, tell us, you also have a bit of networking abroad. You were telling me earlier that you have connections with NGOs, and you are able to bring in that kind of expertise and information from abroad as well. Is that how you are able to do things a bit faster, perhaps? Because there is help coming from abroad because of your experience of working overseas.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, IIT Delhi Excellent Foundation is donating 50 oxygen concentrators right from the US. Mr. Sanjeev Goyal is helping from there. We got IIT Madras, of course, my alma mater. They're also helping a lot. And we also have donors from abroad. We've set up a Milap campaign on COVID India campaign.org. So a lot of funds is coming from the US as well. And also not only in cash, but also in kind. That is really helping us ramp up very quickly.
Right. So, that is what is, again, important, what you emphasize, the fact that a lot of it is just selfless efforts that people are making, not expecting any compensation. A lot of these donors who are stepping up, donating plasma, Mr. Swadeep, tell us more about them, that what motivates them? How is it that you manage to get donors, to come forward? Because unless people come forward on their own initiative, on their own accord, to set up something like this and to get it functioning would not be possible.
Yeah, so plasma is so it's under mission COPE, right? COVID Plasma Endeavor. We started this last year in July. We set it up. In fact, the first plasma banks in Mysore and in Bangalore with HCG Hospital. In fact, there was no bank in Mysore. They used to come all the way from Bangalore to pick it up. So we set up a plasma bank there, and people are afraid, right? Sometimes they just need to know that it's safe, because someone who has COVID positive and recovered, they already have the immunity and the antibodies, and nothing is going to happen to them. They're not going to COVID hospitals. You can go to a blood bank like TTK or even Lions Club or HCG Hospital, which is a cancer hospital. So and so that's how we have to talk to them and encourage them. We have done hundreds of patients already. In fact, yesterday, Big Basket helped us reach out to 20 lakh Indians, and we got enough plasma for 500 patients in one day, and that's exciting.
Absolutely. And this is something I wanted to ask both our guests today before I wind up the conversation, that compared to the first wave, the intensity is huge, the severity is much more. What is the difference that you see? If you can give us any simple example to understand how this time around things are so much more tougher, Swadeep.
Absolutely. I mean, every single place I see, people are, I lost my own friend, he's 45 years old, and, it just happened 2 days ago, right? And it's just shocking. I mean, before I used to hear a friend of a friend, or it was, 2 or 3 layers ahead. Now it's my own friend's aunt or friend's uncle or friend's father, my own friend, my brother's friends, it's in the close circle that is people are losing. And the number of cases is alarming, and 30% of people have no comorbidities. In Karnataka, 30%, there are hale, hardy people in the 30s and 40s and 50s that are succumbing to this deadly virus. So it's absolutely devastating this time.
Terrifying, absolutely, and heartbreaking. It's tragic to see young people succumbing to the virus at an alarming rate. Riya Gupta, anything from your personal experience, what you see, the difference from the first wave, and also as somebody with medical experience, what do you think is different this time? Why the severity is so much higher?
I think it's because of the lack of resources and planning. I feel like nobody saw this coming, and it just took everybody by shock. I feel like nobody expected it. Even when the vaccines were open, people were not getting vaccinated. Now everyone is rushing to get a slot. The slots are not working out. I feel like that's the biggest issue with why all of this is happening. Last year, we never put in these many hours to try to help people. It was a pandemic. The max we did was stay at home and try to stay safe. Over here, I feel like everyone is actively trying to help because they all personally know someone that's really affected by it. And I feel like that's the biggest issue that all of us are facing right now.
Yes, it has started hitting very closer home. We've lost colleagues, we've lost immediate family members of close friends, so it's heartbreaking. But then people like you, Riya, and you, Swadeep, are doing your bit to help out. It must be hugely satisfying, and I would like to extend my gratitude to volunteers, to those Good Samaritans who are doing their bit to help out the people in need. Thank you so much for joining us on Inspire India today.
Thank you, Afrida.
Thank you.
And with that, let's in fact now talk about few other cases also of how people are helping out in their vicinity. A group of auto drivers in Pune started an initiative called Jugaad Ambulance to ferry COVID-19 patients in the city. Oxygen cylinders have been installed in 3 auto and helpline numbers have been set up through which patients can contact them. In a bid to help family members of COVID patients in Tripura's Agartala, ISKCON is serving free meals to relatives of patients. The nutritious meals are hygienically packed and delivered at home by volunteers. A nodal officer at COVID Center in Jalandhar has been lauded for serving COVID patients despite being pregnant. Visuals on your screen show how the doctor is taking full precaution while treating patients by wearing PPE kit and mask. Well, that's it for now. News and updates continue on the other side. Do stay with us. Visit us on mirrornownews.com and follow us on our social media handles.